The alien city of Karth Prime was silent in a way that felt heavy and wrong. Thousands of beings stood around the great stone arena, yet no one spoke. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. In the center of the arena, chains as thick as a human's arm were pulled tight. At the end of those chains was the reason everyone had gathered. The beast. It was enormous, taller than any alien soldier, its body covered in dark scales marked by old scars. Long claws dug into the stone floor, leaving deep scratches. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth, and its eyes glowed a dull red. To the aliens of Karth Prime, this creature was known by only one name, the Devourer. Stories said it had destroyed colonies. Legends claimed it fed on fear. Children were warned that if they misbehaved, the Devourer would come for them. Today, the council had decided it was time. The beast must be sacrificed, announced the High Arbiter, his voice echoing through the arena. Only then will our world be safe. A wave of approval moved through the crowd. Fear always sounded like agreement. High above the arena, on a viewing platform made for honored guests, stood a single human. His name was Elias Carter. Elias was not a soldier. He was not a hero. He was an interstellar xenobiology observer sent to watch, learn, and report. He had arrived on Karth Prime only 3 days ago, and already something felt very wrong. As the Arbiter spoke, Elias watched the beast carefully. It did not roar. It did not thrash. Instead, it lay low to the ground, its massive head resting between its claws. Its breathing was slow, uneven. One side of its body trembled slightly, like it was cold or weak. That is not how a monster waits to kill, Elias thought. Below, armored guards moved closer, activating energy spears designed for execution. The air filled with a sharp hum. The beast lifted its head. The crowd gasped. But instead of rage, Elias saw something else in its eyes. Confusion. And pain. Proceed, the Arbiter commanded. The guards raised their weapons. Elias felt his chest tighten. He checked his datapad quickly. The scans taken earlier told a story no one wanted to hear. The beast's energy levels were dangerously low. Its muscles showed signs of long-term damage. Its nervous system was flooded with stress chemicals. This creature was not preparing to attack. It was starving. Elias stepped forward. The sound of his boots echoed loudly in the silence. Dozens of alien heads turned at once. What is the human doing? Someone hissed. Elias placed his hands on the railing, leaning forward. Wait, he said. His voice was calm, but it carried. This doesn't make sense. The High Arbiter narrowed his eyes. Human observer, you were invited to watch, not to interfere. Elias swallowed, then spoke again. You say this beast is pure destruction, but I see restraint. I see injury. I see fear. A low growl rolled through the arena. The guards tensed. Silence, the Arbiter snapped. That thing has fooled many before. Elias shook his head. Slowly, no, you have fooled yourselves. Murmurs spread through the crowd. The beast shifted slightly. One of its chains scraped across the stone, making a harsh sound. The guards reacted instantly, spears aimed at its head. Enough, Elias said sharply. Every weapon turned toward him, for the first time. Elias felt fear, not for himself, but for what would happen if no one spoke up. He raised his hands slowly. I am unarmed, and I am not your enemy. The Arbiter stared at him. Step back, human. This ritual has protected our world for generations. Elias took a breath. Then he did something no one expected. He climbed down. A shock ran through the arena as Elias descended the steps leading into the execution pit. Stop him! Someone shouted, let him learn. Another cried, but the Arbiter raised a clawed hand. Let the human approach, he said coldly. If the beast kills him, it will prove our point. Elias reached the arena floor. Up close, the beast was even larger. He could smell blood, old wounds, and something else, hunger so deep it hurt to sense. The beast lifted its head fully now. Its red eyes locked onto Elias. The guards held their breath. Elias slowly reached into his pack. Energy. Spears crackled to life. Human. The Arbiter warned. One more step. Elias ignored him. From his pack he pulled out a sealed ration bar, dense, nutrient-rich, and safe for most known species. He knelt. The beast growled again. Louder this time, but it did not strike. With shaking hands, Elias placed the food on the stone floor and gently pushed it forward. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. The beast lowered its head. The distance between human and monster vanished. And for the first time in centuries, the devourer did something no one had ever seen. It sniffed. The arena was silent. No one breathed. And the sacrifice ritual stopped just for a moment. The arena stayed frozen in silence. No cheers. No screams. No command to attack. The beast's massive head hovered inches above the ration bar. Its breath was hot and slow, fogging the stone floor. One wrong move, one sudden strike, and the human would be gone. Elias did not move. The guards tightened their grip on their energy spears. Sweat ran down armored faces. Many of them had killed before. None of them had ever stood this close to the devourer and lived. "Human," the High Arbiter said coldly. "Step away, now." Elias heard him, but he did not obey. Instead, Elias sat down. Right there on the arena floor. A wave of shock passed through the crowd. "He has lost his mind," an alien elder whispered. "No creature sits before death," another replied. The beast tilted its head slightly, confused by the human's behavior. Predators ran, prey screamed. This human did neither. Elias slowly opened his empty hands and placed them on his knees. His heartbeat was loud in his ears, but his voice remained steady. "You're hungry," he said quietly. "That's all this is, isn't it?" The beast's nostrils flared again. It sniffed the food once more, then paused, as if unsure whether. It was real. A low, broken sound came from its throat, not a roar, but something weak. Almost like a breath that hurt to take. Elias noticed the scars up close now, deep burns along the neck. Old cuts that never healed right. Metal implants fused into flesh control devices. Not natural growth. This thing was never worshipped, Elias realized. It was managed, controlled, used. The crowd began to murmur again. Why is the beast not attacking? Is it playing with him? Is this a trick? One guard took a nervous step forward. His spear hummed louder. "Hold," the Arbiter ordered. His eyes were locked on the human. "Let us see how brave he truly is." The beast finally touched the food, just barely. One claw nudged the ration bar. It rolled slightly across the stone. The beast flinched at the movement, pulling its claw back like it expected pain. Elias frowned. Slowly, carefully, he slid the ration bar closer again, this time breaking it in half. The beast watched every movement. Then, at last, it lowered its head and took the food into its mouth. The crunch echoed through the arena. A gasp spread like fire. "It's eating," a scientist whispered, checking his scanner in disbelief. The beast chewed slowly. Too slowly. Like it had forgotten how. Energy readings began to shift. Stress levels dropped by a fraction. Heart rhythm stabilized. Muscle tension eased, small changes but real ones. Elias let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "That's it," he said softly. "Easy." The beast finished the food and looked at him again. Not with hunger, this time. With questions. The High Arbiter's voice cut through the moment. "Do not be fooled. Even starving, it remains dangerous." Elias looked up. "So do soldiers," he replied. "So do people." The Arbiter's eyes narrowed. "You compare that thing to us?" Elias stood slowly, careful not to make sudden movements. "I compare suffering to suffering." A ripple of anger spread through the council seats. The human Speaks madness, one counselor said. He insults our history. Another hissed. Elias turned back to the beast. Without thinking, he reached out then stopped. He remembered every safety rule he had ever learned. Never touch an unknown creature. Never assume calm means safe. Never trust instinct over data. But his instinct was screaming now. The beast leaned forward slightly, its massive body shifting. Chains rattled loudly. Guards raised weapons again. Elias froze, but did not pull his hand away. Slowly, painfully slow, the beast lowered its head until its armored forehead rested on the stone between them. It bowed. The arena exploded into chaos. That is submission. No, it is deception. Kill it now. The arbiter slammed his staff into the floor. Enough. Silence returned, but it was broken, unstable. Elias gently placed his hand on the beast's armored head. The touch was light, careful, respectful. The beast did not move. Scanners across the arena began flashing alerts. Stress hormones plummeting, aggression markers collapsing, neural patterns shifting from threat to safety, impossible readings. This contradicts everything. A lead scientist whispered. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. This creature isn't dangerous, he said quietly. It's been made dangerous. The beast released a deep, steady breath and leaned into the human's touch. For the first time in recorded history, the devourer did not inspire fear. It inspired doubt, and doubt was far more dangerous to the council than any beast. The silence after the touch felt unreal. Elias's hand rested on the beast's armored head. He could feel heat beneath the thick plate, steady now, not wild. The chains still held the creature in place, but its body was no longer tense. Its claws were relaxed. Its breathing slowed. Around them, fear returned, stronger than before. This is deception, a counselor shouted. Remove the human. Another demanded. The beast is pretending. The High Arbiter raised his staff again, but this time, his voice lacked certainty. Human, step away. Elias did not step away. Instead, he slowly removed his hand and reached back into his pack. The guards reacted instantly. Weapons rose. Energy fields flared. Targeting systems locked on his chest. Stop, the Arbiter snapped. Human, explain yourself. Elias pulled out another ration bar, then another. I'm feeding it, he said simply. A wave of disbelief rolled through the arena. You feed a world killer? A scientist asked. You insult the dead. An elder cried. Elias looked up. At them. When something is starving, it will bite. When it is fed, it can think. The beast lifted its head again, eyes following the food. But it did not lunge. It waited. That waiting changed everything. Elias placed the food on the stone, farther away this time, then took 2 slow steps back. He sat again, making himself small. Your move, he whispered. The beast hesitated. Its muscles trembled, not with anger, but with effort. It pulled against the chains just enough to reach the food. Metal groaned. Old wounds reopened slightly. The beast paused, letting out a low sound, not a roar. Pain. Elias clenched his jaw. Chains, he said quietly, not looking away. They heard it. The Arbiter scoffed. They keep us alive. Elias shook his head. No, they keep it desperate. The beast finally took the food. This time, it ate faster, more confident. Its jaw worked properly now. Strength returned in small but visible ways. Scanners screamed with alerts. Energy intake confirmed. Neural balance stabilizing. Aggression patterns dissolving. This is not possible, a senior scientist whispered. Wit has never eaten like this. Elias glanced at the scientist. Because it's never been allowed to eat like this. As if hearing him, the beast stopped chewing and looked at Elias again. Then, slowly, it pushed the empty wrapper toward him with one claw. The arena gasped. It returned it. Someone said. Elias smiled despite himself. You're polite, he said softly. The beast released a short breath that sounded almost like a grunt. For a moment, the world felt balanced. Then a council guard made a mistake. He stepped too close. The sound of armor scraping stone echoed loudly. The beast's head snapped toward the noise. Its body tensed. Old instincts surged, weapons fired warning sparks. The crowd screamed. Elias moved without thinking. He stood between the guard and the beast. Stop, he shouted. Don't threaten it. The guard hesitated, confused. Human move. No. Elias said firmly. Lower your weapon. The beast growled, deep and dangerous now, but its eyes stayed on Elias, not the guard. Elias raised one hand slowly toward the beast, palm open. It's okay, he said. I'm here. The growl faded. The beast lowered its head again. Scanners confirmed it, aggression dropping, heart rate normalizing. The guard stepped back, shaken. A counselor stood up. This cannot continue. The ritual must proceed. Elias turned to face the council seats. You're afraid, he said. Not of the beast, but of being wrong. The words struck harder than any weapon. This creature was never evil, Elias continued. You trained it through pain. You starved it. You chained it. And now you call it a monster for surviving. The arena filled with angry voices, human lies. Remove him now. End this farce. The High Arbiter hesitated. He looked down at the beast, then at the data screens, then at Elias standing alive where no one should be. What do? You propose? The Arbiter asked quietly. Elias answered without hesitation. Unchain it, he said. Just one chain. Let it choose. Gasps erupted. That is madness. It will kill. It will escape. Elias shook his head. If it wanted to kill, I'd already be dead. The beast shifted, sensing the tension. Slowly, the Arbiter raised his staff. One chain, he said. If the human dies, the sacrifice resumes. A guard approached the restraint system, hands shaking. The lock released with a loud crack. One chain fell away. The beast felt it instantly. It stood taller, not in rage, but surprise. Free on one side. The entire arena held its breath. The beast looked at Elias. Then it did something no one expected. It sat down, right beside him, not as a monster, but as a choice. And in that moment, the council realized the truth. They were no longer in control. The arena no longer felt like a place of power. It felt small. Elias sat on the cold stone floor. The massive alien beast beside him. One chain lay broken at their feet. The other chains still held the creature, but loosely now, as if they were no longer sure of their purpose. No one spoke. The crowd watched, frozen between fear and disbelief. The beast shifted slightly. Its huge body moved with care, like it was afraid to make the wrong choice. Its eyes no longer glowed red. They were darker now, tired, aware. Elias noticed something else. The beast was shaking, not from anger. From confusion. It doesn't understand what freedom feels like. Elias realized. Above them, the High Arbiter gripped his staff tightly. His authority had always come from fear. But fear was slipping away, and he could feel it. Human, the Arbiter said slowly, you have proven nothing. A single calm moment does not erase centuries of destruction. Elias looked up. Then let this moment speak, he replied. The beast lowered its head toward Elias again. Not touching, waiting. This time Elias did not hesitate. He stood up slowly, making sure every movement was clear and calm. Then he placed his hand on the beast's neck, where scars crossed old metal implants. The crowd cried out. Scanners spiked. Pain signals surged, then stopped. The beast released a deep sound, low and steady, like a storm passing. Elias gently pressed his hand there, feeling the tension melt under his touch. That hurts you, he said quietly. They hurt you." The beast leaned closer. The sound it made was not a growl. It was relief. A scientist shouted from the control deck. "Neural suppression devices detected. Embedded since juvenile stage." Another voice followed. "They amplify fear responses." The creature never chose aggression, it was forced. The arena erupted again. "You didn't tame it," a counselor screamed. "You broke it." Elias turned sharply. "No," he said. "You broke it. I just stopped the bleeding." The words cut deep. The Arbiter raised his staff. "Enough. Guards, prepare the failsafe." A heavy weapon unfolded above the arena, its core glowing bright. The beast noticed instantly. Its body old instincts screamed. The crowd leaned back in fear, expecting destruction. Elias stepped forward again. "No," he said firmly. "You don't threaten something that's learning to trust." The Arbiter's eyes were cold. "Then you will die with it." The weapon charged. The beast roared. The sound shook the arena, cracked stone, rattled bones. Guards panicked. Energy. Shields flared. Elias did not run. Instead, he placed both hands on the beast's head and pressed his forehead against its armored brow. "I'm here," he said. "Stay with me." For one long second, nothing happened. Then the impossible did. The beast lowered its head. The roar faded into silence. The weapon's targeting system failed, unable to lock on. "Target signal disrupted," a technician shouted. "The creature's aggression signature is gone." The Arbiter stumbled back slightly. This cannot be," he whispered. Elias stepped away from the beast and faced the council seats. "You feared it because it was powerful," he said. "You chained it because you couldn't control it. And when it suffered, you called that suffering evil." The beast stood behind him, tall, scarred, free on one side. It did not attack. It did not threaten. It watched. "You taught your children to fear it," Elias continued, "so they would never question you." A long silence followed. Then a young alien voice broke through the crowd. "If it was always like this," the voice asked softly, "why did we kill so many?" No one answered. The High Arbiter looked at the beast one last time. And for the first time, he saw it clearly, not as a god, not as a demon, but as a victim who survived. Slowly, his staff lowered. "Remove the remaining chains," he said quietly. The guards hesitated, then obeyed. Metal locks released. Chains fell. The beast stood fully free. The arena braced for chaos, but none came. The beast took one step forward, then stopped. It looked down at Elias. Waiting. Elias smiled gently. "Go on," he said. "It's your choice now." The beast turned toward the open gates of the arena, toward the sky, toward freedom. But before leaving, it did something that changed everything forever. It bowed. Not to the council, not to the crowd. But to the human who showed it kindness when the universe showed it none. And in that moment, every alien present understood the truth. Fear had ruled them for centuries, but humanity had just ended it with an open hand instead of a weapon. The arena did not erupt into cheers. It fell into a deep, painful silence. The beast stood free now. No chains, no weapons touching its skin. Just open space around it, and thousands of eyes watching every breath it took. Elias stood beside it, feeling the weight of the moment settle into his bones. Freedom had been given, but freedom always demanded truth. High above, the council chambers were in chaos. Data screens flashed rapidly. Scientists argued. Elders whispered urgently among themselves. "This cannot be allowed to stand," one counselor hissed. "If the people learn the truth," another began. But the truth was already waking up. A senior scientist stepped forward, her voice shaking. "High Arbiter, we have reviewed the archival records." The Arbiter turned slowly. "Speak." She swallowed. The creature designated Devourer Class Alpha was never discovered as an adult threat. Murmurs spread. It was found as a juvenile, she continued. Injured, alone, starving. Elias closed his eyes. The beast lowered its head slightly, as if it remembered. The scientist went on louder now. Historical footage confirms it never attacked a settlement on its own. Every recorded rampage occurred after neural suppression devices were activated. The crowd began to stir. That is impossible, an elder snapped. Our legends were rewritten, the scientist said, finding strength to justify control. Screens across the arena lit up. Images flashed old, grainy recordings of the beast as a smaller creature, hiding, flinching, chained for the first time. Children in the crowd looked away. So many died, someone whispered. Elias stepped forward. Yes, he said quietly, and you blamed the wrong one. The arbiter's voice was thin now. We did what we had to do. Elias looked at him. You did what was easy. The beast shifted behind Elias. It did not rage. It did not flee. It simply stood there, breathing slowly like it was listening. A young guard removed his helmet. His hands were shaking. My unit guarded the feeding pens, he said. We were told starvation kept it weak. Silence. You starved it on purpose? A voice cried out. The guard nodded. So it would obey. Anger rolled through the arena, not wild fear this time, but something sharper. Guilt, shame, rage at themselves. The arbiter slammed his staff into the floor, but the sound no longer carried authority. Enough, he shouted. This discussion ends now. No, Elias said calmly. It begins now. He turned to the beast. Slowly, carefully, Elias placed a hand over his own heart. Then he pointed gently to the beast's chest. You were never a monster, he said. You were a prisoner. The beast stared at him. Then it did something unexpected. It reached up, with surprising care, and touched one of the old implants embedded in its neck. A dull pulse of pain flickered. Elias understood. You want it gone, he said softly. Scientists shouted at once. That device is integrated. Removal could kill it. We've never tried. Elias looked at them. Then learn. The beast let out a low sound, not a roar, but a request. For the first time, the council did not command. They listened. Medical drones were deployed. Scanners swept over the implants. One by one, systems designed for control were identified, not protection. High Arbiter, the lead medic said quietly. These devices were never medical. They were weapons. The Arbiter's shoulders slumped. Centuries of belief cracked in that moment. Remove them, he whispered. The first implant came free with a hiss of steam and light. The beast cried out, but Elias was there, steady, calm. I've got you, he said. You're not alone anymore. With each device removed, the beast's body changed. Its posture eased, its eyes cleared. Its breathing deepened, and something else happened too. The crowd felt it. The fear that had ruled their culture for generations began to die. When the final implant was removed, the beast collapsed, not in weakness, but released. Elias knelt beside it, one hand resting on its side. Applause started slowly. Not celebration. Acknowledgement. A young alien stepped forward from the crowd. What happens now? They asked. Elias looked at the beast, then at the council. Now, he said, you decide who you want to be. The beast opened its eyes. Not red. Not dark, but clear. And for the first time, it looked not at Elias, but at the future. The arena was changing, not in stone or steel, but in people. The beast lay on the ground, breathing slowly. Medical drones hovered around it, checking wounds that were older than most of the council members watching. The fear that once filled the air had thinned, replaced by uncertainty, and uncertainty made some beings dangerous. Elias felt it before it happened. Sharp tension. A wrong kind of silence. He turned his head slightly and saw the extremist. The alien stood at the edge of the lower platform, eyes burning with hatred. His armor was old military grade, scratched and worn. In his hands was a compact plasma weapon. "Illegal but deadly. You lied to us," the alien screamed. "You let a monster live." Before anyone could react, he fired. The blast was fast, bright, silent. Elias had no time to move. The beast did. In a single, powerful motion, it surged up from the ground and stepped forward. Its massive body twisted between Elias and the blast. Plasma hit its armored side. The impact shook the arena. Smoke rose. Screams followed. Elias was thrown backward by the shockwave. He hit the stone hard, his ears ringing. For a moment, he thought the beast had been killed. Then he heard it. A deep, furious roar. Not wild. Not blind. Focused. The beast stood tall, its body smoking where the blast struck. The wound was deep, but it did not fall. Instead, it turned its head slowly toward the attacker. Every instinct in the crowd screamed run. Guards raised weapons. "Hold fire," Elias shouted as he struggled to his feet. "Don't make this worse." The extremist stumbled back, suddenly realizing what he had done. I was protecting us," he shouted weakly. The beast took one step forward. Stone cracked under its weight. The crowd panicked. "This is it!" Someone cried, "It's attacking!" Another screamed. But the beast did not charge. It stopped. It looked back at Elias. Waiting. Elias stood up fully now, pain flashing through his ribs. He met the beast's gaze and shook his head slowly, clearly. "No," he said. "Not like that." The beast growled low and controlled. Its claws flexed, digging into the stone. It could end the threat in seconds, but it did in single quotes instead. It turned back toward the extremist and lowered its massive head until their eyes were level. The alien dropped his weapon. It clattered loudly across the floor. "I didn't know," the alien whispered. "I was taught to fear you." The beast stared at him for a long moment. Then it did something no one expected. It stepped aside, toward the crowd. Toward Elias, placing itself between Elias and every weapon in the arena, a living shield. Scanners lit up again. Protective behavior detected. Threat prioritization focused on human subject. "This is not instinct, it's choice." Elias's chest tightened. "You protected me," he said softly. The beast made a low sound and leaned slightly closer to him. It was not asking for praise, it was stating a fact. The guards slowly lowered their weapons. The council members stood frozen. The High Arbiter's voice trembled. Why did it not kill the attacker?" Elias answered without looking away from the beast. "Because you taught it violence," he said. "But kindness taught it something stronger." Medical teams rushed forward, treating the beast's wound. It did not resist. It did not even flinch when tools touched its skin. It trusted. That realization hit the crowd harder than the attack. Being capable of destruction had chosen restraint. A creature shaped by pain had chosen protection. A monster had chosen humanity. The extremist was taken away quietly. No one cheered. No one demanded execution. They were too busy rethinking everything they believed. The beast slowly lowered itself to the ground again, exhaustion finally catching up. Elias knelt beside it, placing a hand against its side. "You didn't have to do that," Elias whispered. The beast turned its head slightly, resting it near him. It breathed out. Steady. Alive. A council scientist spoke softly into the silence. "This changes our understanding of sentient behavior." Elias nodded. "No," he said. "It reminds us of it." The arena doors opened fully now, sunlight pouring in. The city beyond was quiet watching. The beast lifted its head and looked toward the open sky. Then it looked back at Elias. Waiting. Not for orders, for permission. Elias smiled, despite the pain. "You don't need me to tell you what to do," he said. "You already chose." The beast rose and stepped forward, standing beside him, not behind. Not ahead. Equal. And in that moment, Every alien present understood something terrifying and beautiful. The most dangerous thing in the universe was not a beast that could destroy worlds, but one that chose not to. The arena no longer felt like a place of judgment. It felt like a place of change. Sunlight poured through the open gates, touching the stone floor where fear had ruled for centuries. The beast stood calmly beside Elias, its massive shape casting a long shadow, not dark, not threatening, but steady. The crowd did not run. They watched. For the first time, they watched without hate. Medical teams finished treating the beast's wound. The burn from the plasma blast was serious, but not fatal. The creature had endured far worse in silence. Elias stood slowly, pain still sharp in his ribs. He did not move away from the beast. He did not hold on to it either. He stood beside it, like one living being beside another. The High Arbiter stepped forward. No guards flanked him now. His voice, once powerful, was quiet. For generations, he said, we believed fear kept us safe. He looked at the beast, then at Elias. We were wrong. A ripple moved through the crowd, not anger, not fear, relief. We created a monster, the Arbiter continued. Not by nature, but by cruelty. The beast lowered its head slightly. It listened. We will end the sacrifice ritual, the Arbiter said. Forever. A gasp spread across the arena. That ritual shaped our world, an elder whispered. Yes. The Arbiter replied. And it broke it. Elias felt something loosen inside his chest. The beast turned its head toward the council. Its eyes were clear now. Calm. A being no longer driven by pain. A council scientist stepped forward. We have prepared a sanctuary world, she said. Remote, protected, no weapons, no chains. The beast looked toward the sky again. Then slowly, it looked back at Elias. Waiting. Elias understood. This is your choice, he said gently. No one decides for you anymore. The beast stepped forward. Not toward the sanctuary ships. Not toward the council. Toward the crowd. Aliens froze. Fear flashing again, but the beast stopped a safe distance away. It lowered its head and released a deep, calm breath. Not a threat. Promise, I will not harm you. Some felt it in their bones, though no words were spoken. A young alien child stepped out from behind a parent. No one stopped them. The child looked up at the beast with wide eyes, not fear, but wonder. The beast remained still. The child raised a small hand. Elias held his breath. The beast slowly lowered its head just enough. The child touched its armored skin. Nothing bad happened. A quiet sound moved through the crowd. Hope. The beast straightened and turned back toward Elias one last time. They looked at each other. No words. No command. Just understanding. Then the beast walked toward the open gates, toward the waiting transport ships. Each step was heavy but free. The crowd parted without being told. As it reached the edge of the arena, the beast stopped. It turned. And bowed. Not to the council, not to the crowd. But to the human. Elias felt his eyes burn. You don't owe me anything, he said softly. The beast held the bow for a long moment, then lifted its head and left. The ships rose into the sky, carrying the last living symbol of the old fear away. Silence followed. Then applause. Not loud. Not wild. Slow, honest, human-like. The High Arbiter approached Elias. What will you report to your people? He asked. Elias thought for a moment. That power doesn't make monsters, he said. Fear does. The Arbiter nodded. And humans? Elias smiled faintly. Humans believe even the worst stories deserve a second look. Days later, as Elias prepared to leave Karth Prime, he stood at the viewport of his ship. Far away, on a distant green world, scanners showed a massive lifeform resting peacefully under open skies. No chains. No weapons. Just life. Elias sent his final report. It contained no warnings. Only one simple line. Humanity did not conquer this world. It reminded it how to be kind. And across the galaxy, the story spread not of a beast that was defeated, but of a monster that never truly existed. Of a human who won without ever raising a weapon.